In a dramatic and closely contested matchup, the Michigan Wolverines held on for a narrow 27-24 victory over the Minnesota Golden Gophers on a wet, gray afternoon in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The game was not without controversy, as a pivotal offsides call against Minnesota on an onside kick in the final minutes sealed the Wolverines' victory, allowing them to retain the historic Little Brown Jug for another year. A game of momentum swings. Michigan opened the game with a powerful rushing attack, led by running back Kalel Mullings, who put in a standout performance with 24 carries for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Wolverines seemed in control for much of the first half, building a commanding 21-0 lead midway through the second quarter. Mullings set the tone early, capping off a 7-play, 79-yard drive with a 27-yard touchdown run to open the scoring. Despite their dominance, Michigan's offensive struggles were evident, especially in the passing game. Junior quarterback Alex Orji, making his second career start, improved slightly from his previous outing against USC but still faced issues in finding consistency. Orji completed 10 of 18 passes for just 86 yards, with 1 touchdown and 1 costly interception. The junior quarterback did show some promise early on, completing 2 passes on the opening drive before relying on Mullings to punch in the score. Orji's lack of success through the air continued to hinder Michigan's offensive rhythm. Although tight end Colston Loveland returned from injury to catch 4 passes for 41 yards, Orji's interception in the third quarter gave Minnesota an opening to claw their way back into the game. The interception came when Orji hesitated on a seam route to a wide-open Loveland, allowing Minnesota's defense to capitalize on the mistake and shift the game's momentum. Minnesota's second-half comeback. At halftime, Michigan led 21-3, thanks to Mullings' second touchdown and an 11-yard play-action pass from Orji to Tyler Morris, which extended the Wolverines' lead to 21-0 late in the first half. The Wolverines were also buoyed by a tremendous effort from their defense, which consistently shut down Minnesota's offense. The Golden Gophers, led by quarterback Max Brosmer, struggled to establish any rhythm early on, as Michigan's defense applied relentless pressure. By halftime, the Wolverines' defense had tallied 4 sacks, multiple tackles for loss, and a forced fumble, which helped keep the Gophers in check. However, Minnesota's offense came alive in the second half. A 12-play, 72-yard touchdown drive, capped by a 4-yard rush from Darius Taylor, pulled the Gophers back into contention, cutting Michigan's lead to 24-17 early in the fourth quarter. The Gophers' defense also stepped up, forcing Michigan's offense into multiple 3-and-out situations. Minnesota's special teams further fueled their comeback bid when Coy Parrish returned a punt 60 yards to Michigan's 16-yard line, setting up another quick touchdown from Taylor. Suddenly, the Wolverines found themselves clinging to a tenuous lead as Minnesota mounted their comeback. The controversial offsides call. With just under 2 minutes left in the game, Minnesota drove 75 yards down the field, culminating in a 12-yard touchdown pass from Brosmer to Daniel Jackson, making it a 27-24 game. The Gophers, desperate to keep their hopes alive, executed a well-timed onside kick and appeared to recover the ball, giving them a chance for one final drive to either tie or win the game. However, the onside kick was negated by a controversial offsides penalty on Minnesota, nullifying what would have been a game-changing recovery. The call sparked immediate frustration from the Gophers' sideline, as the Wolverines were able to retain possession and run out the clock to secure the win. Key contributions in defensive prowess. Despite the scare, Michigan's defense remained a cornerstone of their victory. Led by defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, the Wolverines applied consistent pressure on Minnesota's offense, particularly in the first half. Martindale's unit, known for mixing up simulated pressures and deceptive coverages, forced Minnesota to punt 5 times and limited the Golden Gophers to just 38 rushing yards on 25 attempts. The Wolverines also sacked Brosmer multiple times, with standout plays from defensive linemen Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, who combined for 2 consecutive sacks in the first half. Michigan's defense also made several critical stops when it mattered most. Jair Hill had a strong performance, including a key tackle for loss and an acrobatic interception in the first half that helped preserve Michigan's lead. Zeke Berry made a game-changing play as well, stripping the ball from Minnesota's Daniel Jackson and returning it to the Gophers' 16-yard line, setting up one of Mullings' touchdown runs. Michigan's offense. Work in progress. Although Michigan's offense showed glimpses of promise, it was largely inconsistent. Orji's struggles through the air were evident, as he failed to push the ball downfield effectively. The Wolverines had just 1 pass attempt that traveled more than 10 yards in the air, limiting their ability to stretch the field. Much of the offensive success rested on Mullings' shoulders, as Michigan's running game carried the load. Donovan Edwards and Orji chipped in with supplementary rushing yards, but Mullings was the workhorse for the Wolverines, particularly on the final drive that helped them extend their lead late in the fourth quarter. A 14-play, 58-yard drive, which consumed more than 6.5 minutes, ended with a Dominic Zavada field goal that gave Michigan a crucial two-possession lead with 4:33 remaining. That proved to be just enough cushion, even as Minnesota continued to threaten in the final minutes. Looking ahead after the game, Michigan head coach Sharon Moore acknowledged that while his team escaped with the victory, there were several areas that needed improvement. Not very happy with the performance, Moore said during his post-game interview. Michigan's struggles in the passing game and the inability to sustain drives through the air are ongoing issues that will need to be addressed as the Wolverines continue their season. For Minnesota, the loss was a bitter pill to swallow, especially with the controversial ending that erased their opportunity to complete the comeback. However, the Gophers showed resilience and fight in the second half, led by their defense and special teams, which nearly turned the game in their favor. With the win, Michigan improved their record, but questions remain about their offensive consistency, particularly with tougher matchups on the horizon. As the Wolverines prepare for future Big Ten opponents, they'll look to build on their defensive dominance while addressing the issues that allowed Minnesota to nearly pull off an upset in the final moments.